Hello, everybody. My name is Irene Lopez de Vallejo. You did a very good job in saying my name. You've been practicing. I joined Ocean Protocol 6 months ago. I joined the team. And I want to tell you that my background is social science, but it's not a disclaimer. I've been working in tech for 25 years. I really see technology from the point of view of how useful they can be, particularly for businesses and for people. So that is my take on how Ocean Protocol comes to a world where commonization is the future and decentralization is the future. So I'm going to give you a few slides on some of the ideas that these last 6 months I've picked up along the way, and I've made mine because I'm now here in front of you telling you how I see the world from this new perspective. And there are a couple of theories that are more around there. But if you have read The Second Age of the Machine, sorry, The Second Machine Age, and you have had a look at the convergence system and theories of some of investors, you probably understand the world in a way that it's all about technologies coming together and maturity of technologies that have been there for the last 20 years. But we come to a point where they are really combining and recombining themselves, or we are recombining them to build new stuff. And we are starting to experiment with those new business models, those new economic and political systems, and those new environments where new relationships can actually be developed. And we are also seeing a convergence of some new technologies, in this case, the IoT and all the data that comes from the IoT world, all the crypto trends that are coming our way and are getting more and more into the common mainstream thinking. And all the stuff that is happening around data consumption and all the developments around artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, et cetera, et cetera. So we are seeing a world where Web 2 had some really interesting things happening, a lot of promises that have not really convinced us in terms of privacy and protection of our rights, and how we want to move to a world where decentralization and protection of our privacy is actually very important. So that is the context for the next few things that I want to say around the data economy and what happens. And as Rutger said before, I mean, all this thinking about data is kind of like common. I mean, it's no-brainer. Data is growing exponentially. If you've been working around technology of any kind, you will have seen how dealing with data and thinking around data becomes more important and more difficult. Yeah, and data grows, has been growing a lot, but only a very small amount of data is being used. And I say this again, if you are business people, you are people that deal with data or data and innovation, you probably face those challenges. How on earth I'm going to manage all these things? Yeah, so that's where the thinking starts. And you probably know as well that data and intelligence are not connecting. So data is kept in silos. It's very difficult to move it around, to access to it. I'm not saying purely open source it. I'm saying just simply accessing to it and manipulating it. And we have a world that looks like this. Oh, no, sorry. That's not the world that I wanted to talk about. So we have two different parts in this world that are not really connecting. But not everybody has trouble monetizing on data. And we have a number of companies that are making a lot of money and a lot of sense of the data they gather from users, in this case, ourselves, that have a number of problems, have a number of barriers that come from centralization and actually not being really careful with our privacy and our rights. So we live in this world, yeah. Data and expertise are not really coming together, and very few people are actually monetizing on it. And by monetization, I mean not only economic value, but social value as well. And we want the world to be a little bit more equal, a little bit more balanced, and where more people have opportunities to actually access data and monetize on it. So what we are really trying to solve from an Ocean Protocol point of view is the problem of data availability for AI to become more accurate, better, and more equal. So, and then it comes the data sharing problem. And if you've been trying to work on the data sharing space for the last 10 years, you probably realize that it's very difficult to do it with the current technologies and with the current socioeconomic environments where we live. And this is about legal, and it's about culture, and it's about how businesses are structured, and the type of business models that we have at the minute, or we believe that are the only business models that we can look at. And this is not me, it was the Spice Girls that would said it. What I really, really want is control over my data, I want security, and I want transparency. I want to be able to know exactly where my data is going, or the data of my organization, and I want to be completely comfortable sharing data, yeah? And that applies to people, and that applies to organizations and to governments as well. So in the Spice Girls, again, beautiful, let's look into a future that really is not like the past that we've known, yeah? Things that worked before, we are not happy with. Let's look at a future that has decentralization at its heart. And in the context of data sharing, it has very specific benefits. And those are the benefits that we are trying to build in the protocol, in the Ocean protocol, the protocol that we are building. So what we are trying to really do is building a global, borderless data economy for all. And you're probably thinking, well, how are you going to do that? Yeah. So we think that we can do that because we have three main, say, movements, technologies, ways of looking at the world that come together in this today. Yeah, we can use these things today. One is open source software, and actually Jill gave a fantastic first keynote about it and how you can actually make money on it and what type of business models you can build on top of open source software. But are the advantages that it gives you from a different points of view, from a business point of view, from an individual point of view, is blockchain as a technology, or a number of technologies, and our tokens, yeah? So I'm going to go over those three. So in terms of open source software, it's great for community, bad for business most of the times. Yeah, scalable business models, yes, might think otherwise, but there is definitely evidence that only a very few companies have actually been able to make money out of it. Yeah, but as Giles said before, and you believe in, and I do, yeah, it is possible. But what it really brings to our picture, or the way we look at the world, is that it really levels the playing field. So everybody can participate. It's free to come in, and it really, really helps with equalizing access to a piece of technology or an environment. So the second piece is blockchain. Yeah, computers agree on a set state. What it brings is that no single entity controls the platform, and the metadata can be stored, and the rules can be actually being made explicit in smart contracts. Yeah. The third point, the smart contract, is the second point. So when computers agree on a set state, you can have a computer program runs on many different computers. Steps can be independently verified, unstoppable, etc. But actually what brings to transactions is that they can be verified by a third party. You all know that, yeah? You know this, how this technology works. That is very important when you're trying to make transactions with data. And the third one, the third aspect, or the key point, is the tokens, and how tokens actually represent value. And tokens are a physical or digital representation of value, and you know, you all have bought tokens in a fanfare, and you go and exchange it for goods or for drinks. It can also be digital, loyalty points, etc. And it is an internal currency that actually can be used in a specific ecosystem for goods and services. Yeah, so you know that. So these are the three key components of this potentially new platform that we are building. Some of you will be thinking, but okay, that's fine, but you know, why not just use euros for the transactions, and how these three things actually come together and make sense. And actually, it is the fact that we can use these three things in combination that give us a network that is free and that is open, and we don't want a world where the Googles or the other big guys are actually monopolizing access, in this case, to data and selling data. So using a network that is free and open is very, very important for us. It prevents monopolist behavior and puts limit on how much power can be concentrated. So those are our reasons to use a network that is open. And transparency and truth come from, I'm going to put the whole thing, too many words, I'm sorry. It brings that transparency into the system, and it brings a memory. Yeah, and think about the concept of bringing memory into a system that actually cannot forget. Everything is stored, and you can go back and see if someone has cheated, for example. So what we can use this for is to actually incentivize behavior that is appropriate for the environment that we are designing, because if you don't do it, you can be caught. Yeah. So that's one of the main reasons. And we can see how a new economic world is developing, that we can look back and we can study, we can analyze, and we can actually see how it develops. The smart contracts are coming by the blockchain angle. And here really the key aspect is that when the rules are clear and everybody knows what those are, everybody can play according to the same rules. So there is no misguidance. And you can actually start looking at interesting things that, like programmable money. So smart contracts with tokens bring you money that has memory and can be programmed with the values that you want to instill in your community and in your ecosystem. So in this way, tokens are powerful, which is to the point that I wanted to make today. Really, is in this environment of data sharing, we have the building blocks for creating a borderless global data economy, and that it comes from the combination of these three things: the open source, the blockchain, and the tokens that can be used as a value exchange. So Ocean Protocol has taken those three things and is building a protocol or a way of actually looking into data sharing and make it a global play, a free, open, something that anybody can enter and benefit from, and it can be used at no cost. We're solving the problem of data sharing. We give users that security and privacy and control of the data sharing processes, and using these technologies. And we enable an ecosystem play where providers of data and consumers of data interact with the open development community and with different services, computation and storage services that are needed for the data sharing play to work. So the key ecosystem participants are from the black point, which are the keepers and the verifiers of the network that go, say, out. Yeah, we call it the sun diagram, where you have different types of service providers, publishers and consumers of data, and you have society, regulators and governments on the outside. But the idea is this is a shared environment where value exchange is paramount. Different parties are incentivized, yeah, specifically for the data sharing process, and that is decentralized in nature and open. So the Ocean Protocol token is native to this environment and is used for all those incentives, whether if it's onboarding metadata, if it's you want to access data for training your algorithms, you are providing specific services that are needed for the network to actually work, computation, storage, identity, and everything can be run across the protocol because the protocol makes all those different marketplaces interoperable. It's very important for data providers, there will be many in the room, that the level of accuracy or granularity that you can put around your data or your data sets and your information is something that you can control very, very specifically. That is also important. And we talk about data supply lines. Yeah, some of the data comes from different parties, moves around, value is created, some of it goes to the commons or to the open spaces, some of it goes to feed business processes. We are building this. Our second testnet is released at the end of this month, yeah, November 2018. We launched to the mainnet in March 2019. I encourage you to go and look at the GitHub, contribute, check what we are doing. We have a number of bounties open bounties for suggestions, technical bounties for specific contributions, and token retribution. And we also have some grants available, so all that goes to our blog. Please check if you want to contribute. I know that some of you are doing it. And the last bit is talking about some of the use cases that we are actually working with in different parts of the world. So Ocean is a private non-for-profit foundation, and it's based in Singapore. We have teams in Singapore, in Berlin, where our colleagues from the Big Chain DB are based, and in London. And it is really, with the Singapore government, different agencies and authorities that we've been working more closely in the last few months. And I'm going to tell you why. We have some industry partners, so we work closely with industry. We understand that in that first slide that I put, where only 1% was being used, all the data produced, most of the data on the outside is proprietary, is closed inside organizations. That is actually very important. We work with the open data communities, but we also want to work with people that are actually have proprietary data. And then we have some collaborations with different technical and service partners. Not all our partners or collaborators are in these slides, unfortunately. With Singapore government, what we are doing is building a trust framework that is going to be, it's going to have a technology part, and it's going to have a business part. It's going to be open. It's going to be run under an open license, so anybody can actually take it and take it forward. And we want governments to actually, that are interested in this, to look at what is being done there and to replicate it or adopt it. The other thing we are doing is a number of regulatory sandboxes that are industry-led experiments in data sharing. And this is important because the government there provides that safe environment for experimentation, around these things. Sometimes something that companies tell us is, apart from the fact that they don't see the point of using a token to actually do data sharing, or blockchain, they feel a little bit, scared. They don't feel completely comfortable in running this type of experiments. So Singapore is a place where we are doing this, and we are keen to see this done in more countries. The 7 sandboxes that we have are on these spaces. If you want more details about that, come to the Q&A. I'll see how much can I say. The healthcare and the mobility ones are actually very advanced, so we have specific things that we are doing with different organizations in different countries that is actually really, really cool. It's a challenge, but it's really, really interesting. We have a collaboration with AI Commons that I don't know if you know about them, but it's an NGO that is working on democratizing the promise of artificial intelligence. It's very much aligned with our own mission, where Ocean Protocol is providing the protocol to do the technical layer to actually open this up. There is going to be a big announcement in Canada in, I think it's NIPS, in December. So, if you keep an eye on what we do, you will hear it in a few weeks' time. We are building a health use case for the AI Commons, so that's what is going to be presented. And it's a collaboration where data coming from patients in different countries can be accessed by researchers that are looking into Parkinson's disease, and it can be used by companies that are developing insurance models. I'm not going to tell you the names of the companies, but you can think of a big ones. This is another interesting program that we are working with. Is Mobi. It's an automobile initiative. These people are experimenting with blockchain and other technologies to solve the 5-level autonomous car. You need a load of data, and no single automobile company can actually solve that problem by themselves. They don't have enough data, so they've decided, let's do an experiment where the intelligence travels to the data under a number of different models, and then let's get that. Let the best algorithm win, if you want. Let the best intelligence win. But it levels the playing field for all the different automobile organizations to have access to the same training data. And I think that's it. I'll be very happy to have a chat with you all during the Q&A. Thank you very much.
Bye.